Hey, good morning to you. Yes, sir. Yeah, boy. The word works because Jesus is Lord. Now you got to make him Lord of your life. That means whatever the word says, I'm going to do that. God calleth those things that be not as though they were. It's what the Bible says. We're talking about that you're snared by the words of your mouth, and we're supposed to act like God and imitate God. And God calleth those things that be not as though they were. You see, in the beginning, the very first thing that we read in the Bible was in the beginning, God walked out to the edge of nothing. Darkness was upon the face of the deep, and God said, let there be light. Or God called for something that was not. God said, light be, hip, hip, pow. Light was. Well, all the way through the Bible, you find out God operates that way, that he calls things that be not as though they were. There was a man by the name of Abram. He's 90 years old. His wife was 80 years old. Of course, he had passed the time of life with her. And Abram, the Bible says, was dead, now dead. His natural forces, his body was dead. And God said, now we're going to have to work on this. So he said, no longer are you going to be called Abram. He said, you're going to be called Abraham. That's Abram plus Ham, the latter part of the name of Yahweh God. And he said, that's the father of many nations. So he started calling him Daddy. Daddy, 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 Father. And then he went to Sarai and said, now I realize you're 90 years old now, and I'm going to call you Sarah, which is mother. So now watch this. Every morning when Sarah woke up, rolled over, said, Abraham, hey, Daddy. Every morning when Abraham woke up, he'd look over and say, whoo, hey, mama, hey, mama. They started calling each other the thing that was not, which is what gave them the power to become the father of many nations. Now watch. Get this. Jesus, when he was in the boat, had told the disciples, we're going to the other side. He's asleep back there because he knows his words are going to get him to the other side. Now, there's a great storm comes up. I believe it was of the devil. I can't, there's no way you can prove otherwise, because if it's the will of God to go to the other side, God didn't send the storm to keep them from getting to the other side. So they go to the other side, great storm. They said, Lord, don't you care? We're about to perish. They had faith in perishing. Jesus had faith in going over. Now watch. So Jesus stood up and did two things. He first of all spoke to the wind and rebuked it. And then he called for something that was not. He called for peace. Well, there wasn't no peace out there. Now watch, get this. He didn't hope there was going to be peace. He didn't pray that there's going to be peace. He didn't imagine peace in his mind. He called for it with his mouth. Well, we're going to have to do the same thing. You say, well, I'd like to have a lot of money. Call a lot of money. Call for it. You're not going to get it just because you hope it. Now, I don't have any dogs. My granddaughter moved back home, took her dog, and I'm glad I don't have a dog. But if you go outside and the dog's not there, you call it. So if you go to your bank book and the money's not there, you call it. Just like you go out there and say, here dog, here dog, here dog, and it comes. Well, you go out there and you call for the thing that is not, which is money enough to pay your bills. Or you get up one morning and health has left, like the dog's gone. Your health is left and you feel miserable. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. I got up this morning. I didn't feel like doing this program. I felt kind of lousy, if you want to know the truth. But I had to come in here. I sat down, I got my Bible out, and I looked at my body and I said, body, you're healed by the stripes of Jesus. And I began to call for health. I began to call for feeling good. I just begin to talk to my body and not be moved by how I feel. Some days I don't feel any better than you do, but I'm not going to let my feelings tell me how I am. Oh, where does time go? I'm going to do this. Years and years ago, we went on television, and I'm quite good at it. I mean, we had a good crew, had a good camera crew, had bought a lot of expensive equipment, and I was on for about a year, and then it got obvious that I wasn't going to be able to pay for it, and so I quit. And I went and told the television station, I'll pay you every dime I owe you, but I'm not going to continue to run up a bill. Somewhere or another, I'm not doing this right. Well, just yesterday, after I'd been teaching this, Pat and I was talking about it, and I began to say, well, I never did understand why that television ministry didn't go. And I heard myself say, well, you know how it is. People won't support the truth. And I heard myself say, well, you know how it is. Television ministries are exceptionally expensive. I quoted a friend of mine saying a television ministry is a monster. It ate up all of your resources and it's got a life of its own. I was calling things that be not as though they were. I was calling a monster into existence. I was calling lack into existence. And I was saying, well, you know how it is. And people today says, well, you got to call it like it is. Yeah, stupid. That ministry went down the tube. Stupid, Frank, stupid, because I was calling it as I saw it. I was calling it by what I knew to be the facts rather than what I knew to be the truth, which is my God supplies all of my needs according to his riches in glory. Hey, listen, this stuff works. Be like God. You got to call things that be not as though they were. Jesus, first of all, said to the storm, I rebuked the wind. Then he called for something that was, called for peace. He said, peace be still. Well, you're going to have to call for divine health. Body be healed. You're going to have to call, right now I think I've got a little less than $100 in my billfold, in my money clip, because I use a money clip. I think I've got 80 something dollars in there. Well, I'm calling for it to have thousands in there. I'm not going to be moved by the fact that my bills are paid today and that I got money. I got bills that's going to come up. This is the end of the month. In fact, I believe it's the last day of October. Well, bills are going to be due in November. I've got tags for my cars to buy. I've got an electric bill to pay. I got groceries to buy. I got the water bill to pay. And I ain't got enough to pay all that, but I'm going to call it. I'm going to say, money, 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 come to me. And I'm going to call it to me so that I have enough to pay it. Now, somebody says, well, yeah, but you got lots of money. I agree with you. I mean, I got sense enough to put myself in agreement with that. We have lots of money. If you can call death into existence, if you can call sickness into existence, and when you feel bad, go around saying, I just feel bad. I'm probably coming down with the flu. If you can do that, you can say, I feel great. And I'm coming up with divine health. God calleth things that be not as though they were. Well, you can call things that be not as though they were. David did that. David said, I can run through a troop and leap over a wall. Joshua and Caleb did that, said, we are well able. Jesus did that and said, you can kill me and put me in the grave, but on the third day, I'm going to rise again. I'm going to close with this powerful statement. And when Mary and Martha got over there to the tomb to go in and redress Jesus, the stone had been rolled away and the angel was sitting there. And he said, who seek you? And they said, Jesus. And he said, he has risen, as he said. What? Glory be to God. God even said, you put me down 3 days later, I'll raise up. And he did, but he knew that he had to call things to be not as though they were. And you're going to have to do the same thing. Your faith, your believing, your praying, not going to get you nothing that your mouth ain't saying, because God calleth things that be not as though they were. Frank calleth things that be not as though they were, and I've suffered a lot over that. And you're going to have what you say, whether you like it or whether you don't. And my time's run out. I got to go, saints. Hey, I got to say this. Jesus is Lord. Thank God the word works.